Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to talk about how I select watercolor paper and a few things to know about when you're picking out paper and things that you can do, some tips so that you won't spend as much money when you are getting watercolor paper because it's quite expensive. We've got the arches here and we've got the Canson. And I wanted to just show you the differences between the two papers, and then I'm going to do a little demo to show you how they look when they're done. So this is the Canson over here and then this is the arches. And you can kind of, it's probably a little bit hard to tell, but this is a little bit smoother and this is a little bit rougher. Like, so you can actually kind of feel the difference. And this is called tooth when there's some roughness to the page. That's called tooth. And so this is just a little bit different. And we're going to take a look at how this is going to impact your paintings, because the paper in watercolor actually does have a really big difference on the outcome of the painting. I'm sure if you've been doing watercolor, you've noticed that it's pretty expensive. So what I recommend is actually cutting your paper down when you're learning. And that way, if you make a painting and you're not super happy with it, you didn't waste a ton of money on your paper. So what I do is I put the ruler down here. And this only works well if you press really hard here. So you're going to press and then you're going to rip. Okay, just like that. You got to be pretty like affirmative when you're doing this. And then what you end up with is this nice deckled edge, which you've probably seen on people's work sometimes, and you get this nice deckled edge. And so now we're going to do that with the arches. So what I usually do with arches, because again, you get 12 pieces of paper, which isn't much in a pack, and the packs are pretty expensive, is that I will do this where I'll cut it into fours. And you can measure if you want, but you don't even have to do that. You can just, I just like to eyeball things a lot of the time. So you do want it to be, you don't want it to be crooked though. So let's just make sure that it's like that. And then again, press really hard. And then I'm gonna rip it so I can get multiple pieces. And you could even do more than four. You could cut it into even smaller swatches while you're practicing. And then I'm gonna rip this one again. We'll do that here. And again, you just mainly want it to not be crooked. Okay, so there we go. So there you have it. Now I'm going to do a really short demo just to show you the difference when you're painting between arches and Canson. So you have some cerulean blue, and I'm just putting it down on the paper with a little bit of dilution for each one. And what you're going to see is at the very end, you're going to notice the difference. So you can see here that this is just a little bit richer looking than these, and this looks a little bit smoother looking. So there is kind of a difference in the paper. So this is just what I wanted you to see. And, you know, this just gives a different effect. So I think sometimes people, they're using Canson or they're using a cheaper paper and they're not getting as good effects. Well, it might be your paper. So try the arches and just keep in mind that if you cut it down, it makes it a little bit easier to buy that kind of paper.